Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So in this video, we are going to be talking about, we are still continuing with our data cleaning or data preprocessing, as I like to call it. So in this particular video, we are going to be talking about substitute, the substitute function. Substituting is also part of your data preprocessing, making sure your data has the right, your data set has the right data in the right cell at the right time. So substitute is also one of those functions after clean and trim. Substitute is one of those functions that is very useful in taking care of your data and making sure everything is in order. So the substitute function substitutes new text for old text in a text string. And like I said, you can just take them literally. They are just English words. They actually does what they mean in terms of the word. They actually do what they mean in terms of the word. So substitute functions helps you to substitute new text for old text in a text frame string. And also the syntax for it is a substitute. That is, when you are calling on your substitute, you can enter, you have to fill in the parentheses, that is the text you want to substitute, then the old text that was there before, then the new text, and then if available, then the instance number. So to for explain what this formula means, that is this parentheses mean, if the text or reference that to text you want to substitute your characters, the old text means text you want to replace, the new text means the text you want to replace the old text with, and then optionally instance number. Optionally, it specify which instance of old text you want to replace with the new text, and then it is used to substitute when you want to replace specific text in a text string, and then it uses quotes around text string. So very quickly, let's go and practicalize and see how substitute function works. Now, your manager has given you a table of raw data to perform analysis on. The data has been pulled from multiple sources and needs to be standardized prior to analysis. Now, if you look at this data set, just like what we have in I think our trim, yeah. So when the data entry person, let's assume that when the data entry person was entering this data, they made a mistake on some of these drugs. For instance, look at this first drug here, that is Prograf 5 milligram 50 capsules prohibit. Now, instead of just grams, the data entry person made a mistake and put milligrams, like put milligrams in all of these drugs here. You'll see them mg, right? So, and you need to substitute them to take care, like that is, you need to substitute all mg to just be G. That is 5 mg should be G, should be 5G, 20 mg should be ordinary G, right? You know, there are about two cleaning functions you can perform on this data. The first one is your trim function. You can perform your trim function on it. You have to also perform your substitute there. So me, I think I'm going to double this particular data here. I'm going to double it so that I can perform the two. But I think the first one that I'm going to do is just to take care of the trim. So just like we did in our previous video, I will trim this. I will say equals to trim. I'm going to trim it before I take care of my substitutes. Yeah. So I'll click on this. That is, I want to trim my B3 and then close it, hit enter. And then I can just drag down or double click. So I drag. So I've taken care of the regular spaces there. The regular spacing there. So I need to also take care of the replacement, the substitute too. So let me create another part of this table here. I'm going to say product details. This product detail. So let me enlarge this a little. Product details, and then let me put a little formatting there. Nope. Let me just say this gray here. Yeah. So so I just want it to be the way everything is. Yeah. So very good. Now, I want to like do substitution here, replace all my mg and make them g, because they are grams. But when the data entry person was entering the data set, they made a mistake calling gram drugs or gram products, calling them milligram. And you know that it can be very, very risky for users, especially when it comes to something that has to do with health. So you get so when the manager noticed this, they reached out to you as data analyst to help them take care of it, because the data is a very large one. We are just assuming that what if it's a very large data? Do you want to be doing it one by one, replacing all these mg as g one by one, which means you have to keep editing one by one by one. So this is the function of substitute. So we are going to be making use of substitute to take care of this. So I'm going to say equals to substitute. And then Dell is asking me, what is your text? My text is this guy here, this cell here, comma. What is my old text? My old text is mg. I want to replace all mg, and then I want to turn them to g. Now, there is something that happened that we need to take care of. We need to also notice, I mean, as an analyst or even as a programmer, because this thing applies to SQL, applies to Excel, applies to Power BI, and I think it also applies to our Tableau too. So it is that whenever you are trying to write a function, right, and then you are referring to a text, you need to put it into quotation. That is the law. If you are dealing with numbers, if you are dealing with values, you can just leave it the way it is. For instance, now I want to replace all my mg to g, right? So I'm going to, for my old text now, I'm going to start with my quotation mark, and then I'll type my mg. That is, I'm telling Excel that anywhere you see mg, then my new text, you see that the moment I press my comma, Excel moved to new text for me. So that is how to do it. If you don't press on comma and then you just keep typing, Excel will assume that you are still dealing with your previous parenthesis. So I have pressed my comma and it has moved to new text for me. Then my new text right now, again, quotation and G, and then I'll close quotation. Now I don't have any instance number, right? I don't have any instance number, so I'll just end it here. I'll close my bracket and I'll hit enter. And then you can see that Excel has taken care of this for me. So ProGraph 5mg 50 capsulas pro EBIT now has now become ProGraph 5g, that is 5 gram 50 capsulas pro EBIT. So all I have to do is just to drag this down for Excel to do the rest for me. Then you see Excel take care of every drug that seems like a what do you call it now? That seems like that like a milligram becomes grams. So let me enlarge this so as not to cause confusion. And then let me give it a little formatting. Yeah, let me do it like this. So this is how to make use of your substitute function to take care of your data, to clean your data. So I also have another example here. So this one is in a different line, or we are going to be making use of substitutes to it, but you can see the question is very different. You have been tasked to create a table for 2015 and 2016 cost data. You have already created the same list for the sales data in the previous 2 years. That is here. We have Q1 2013, Q2, Q3, Q4 for 2013, while we have Q1 to Q4 for 2014 also. So now the question now said we should create these same 4 quarters for 2015, these same 4 quarters for 2016 now. So you have already created the same for the previous 2 years. Using the data on the left and the substitute formula, create a new list in the right-hand column, which is pretty simple. All we have to do is to replace all 2013 and make them 2015, all 2014 and make them 2016 now. You understand? So using our substitute, say equals to substitute. What is our text? Our text is in cell B42 here. And then what is our old text? Our old text is 2013. Yeah, you will see now that when I was trying to adjust text in our previous example, I put it in quotation, but this time around, all I want to adjust is just the value. It's just the value. So I don't need quotation for this. So I'm going to type my 2013, comma. The new text is 2015. That is, we want to turn all 2013 to 2015 and all 2014 to 2016. So I am done with my new text. So I'm going to close my bracket and then I'm going to hit enter. And then you can see that Excel has now created 2013 for me. So now I can just double click down, and then all I have to do again, or I might not even need to double click down here. Let me just pull it down into 4 places to take care of the first 4 quarters. And then again, I'll just say equals to substitute. Then again, my next quarter to be, then the old text is 2014 this time around. Then the new text is 2016 this time around. Close my bracket, hit my enter, and then drag down. Now, you can see I am dragging down. You will be wondering that why not just double click on the first one, double click on the fill undo, and let Excel take care of the rest for me. No, the reason why it is not happening is because we are still going to get there. It's because my data is still in ranges. It is not in tables. It is in ranges. It is not in table. What is range? What is it? What is the difference between a range and a table? We are going to discuss that in our subsequent video because I don't like jumping steps. Let's do it one after the other. So this is how to make use of the substitute function. It is it's a very good function in Excel to use. So thank you very much. I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to be talking about another data cleaning function called value. That is value. Very quickly, let me take us back to something in our previous file. Now, during our introduction to spreadsheet, I showed us this page and then where I explained the alignment of each contents of a cell and where they go to. That is, if you are typing a text into an Excel cell, and you are trying to like make your populate your cell with a content, and you type, if the content of that cell is text, then you see it align on the left hand side. But if you are trying to like type a numerical value, it will align to the right hand side. If you are trying to type dates, because they are also numbers, they are going to align to the right. And then if you're also typing a long date, they're also going to be on the right. But if you are typing symbols, just like text, they will be on the left-hand side. Now, if in any case whatsoever, every one of these things here are not aligned in their proper position. For instance, let's say you notice your text, you notice it on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side. And then you notice you have a column that all the numbers and the dates are on the left-hand side. Then you definitely know that it is either that data, something is not right with that data, or you as a professional, you are the one that formatted the column like that. Yes, we can do that for the context of for use. You understand? For use. So, but now, let's now say you are not the fault. You are not the one that did this, right? Let's say you are not the one that did this. You are like this. That was how you received the data. You need to correct it. And one of the ways you can correct it, especially when we are talking about values, that is when we are dealing with values, you have to use your value function to take care of this. And that is what is going to take us to value function. The value function converts a text string that represents a number into a number. The text enclosed in quotation marks or a reference to a cell containing the text you want to convert. Now, it can be in any of the constant number, date, or time formats recognized by Microsoft Excel. And it's generally, you do not need to use the value function in the formula because Excel will automatically, do the conversion for you. But let's now say you are not the one that did the data entry. You received it from your client, or you get the data from wherever it is you got it from, and then you notice these things are not aligned the way they are supposed to. For instance, if you look at it here, the Excel value function convert text that appears in the recognized format. You see that our value here is aligned on the right, in the middle, right? So by the time we use our value, it gets standardized to the right hand side. And don't mind it the way it looks. It looks as if it is not on the right hand side, but it is actually in the right hand side. Let's go and practicalize this and see what I'm talking about. So let's go back to our workbook, and then you will see this. I have problem 4A here. The manager has given you a table of raw data to perform analysis on. The data has been pulled from multiple sources and needs to be standardized. So every one of these things here, you see values that are supposed to be on the right hand side and they are aligned on the left hand side. In most cases, if you have a column that is named like an ID, like your distributor ID, order ID, customer ID, or something like that, most of the time, because the fact that they are in values does not mean they should be in number format, because normally you cannot add anything that has to do with ID together, because they are representing a person. They are identities. You can't use them to like perform a mathematical function. You can only use count function on them, right? So in such cases, you can leave if you have something like this, you can leave it like this. But let's not say you now have a revenue column, a column like revenue, sales price, unit price, or quantity, formatted like this. Then you have to carry out using your what do we call it now? Your values. You have to use your values to take care of them. You have to use your value function to take care of them. So we are going to be using two methods. Let's see, we will also try and see if our text to column is going to work on this. If it doesn't work, then we will still use our value twice. So I'm going to say equals to value. And then what is my text? My text is here. And then I'll close my bracket and then I'll hit enter. And you'll see that from left, it comes to its right format here. And then I can drag down. You see Excel standardize every one of these things for me. Now, let's say you don't want to go through that value process. Let's say you just want to format this this particular column here. Sorry, you just want to format this particular column here. You can as well come here, select the whole column like this, and then come to your number here under your home tab. Come to your number section, click on general, and then let's see if we click on numbers, if it's going to be aligned to the right hand side the way it is supposed to. You see, it doesn't work. So which means you will have to make use of your value function on this particular text here. So what I'm going to return it back to the way it was, and then apply my value again, equals to value. And then my cell B13, close my bracket, hit enter, and then drag it down, and then voila. Now let's see if we can make use of our text to column function to perform this. So let me first of all copy everything here, copy and paste it here. Now paste. Now let's see if our text to column is going to work. So all I'm going to do is, while selecting all this data, I'll come to my data column, the data tab, come to my text to columns, and then you can see it doesn't have any delimiter or anything. So I'll click on next. This is not even where I am going. Then I'm going to click on my next. Now look at it here. I have general, I have text, I have date. And you know that I need to standardize this particular this particular data here. But I don't have the options there. The one that I have that is nearest to what I need is date. So let me see if I choose date. If it is going to like work for me, then I'll click on finish. It doesn't. So which means we'll just have to use text to column on this particular I use our value on this particular function again. So again, I'll say equals to value, and then my text is still B13, B13. Then I'll close my bracket. I'll hit enter. Hmm, going on? It's not working. So let me say again, value equals to value, my text. Yeah. Then I'll close my bracket. Maybe this is meant to be a text to column. I think it's actually meant to be a text to column. But since the text to column is not working, I think we are going to stick to our values function. But basically, I think we've understand the concept of how value function works, like how value function work in our data cleaning and data preprocessing. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask anytime we have a live session. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Hi everyone, welcome to another video. As we continue with our exploration of the data cleaning or data preprocessing processes or functions, another part of data cleaning that is also important is duplicating, or what we call deduplicating. Any one of it, we are good. And just like it sounds literally, duplicating or deduplicating is when you remove duplicates. When you remove duplicates from your necessary duplicates from your data set in an attempt to make sure your data are all up to standards. In an attempt to make sure that all your data are all up to standards. So deduplicating is another important process that we need to take care of. Now, unlike the others, the duplicating is not a function, but it is a process, right? And let me make sure I am clear about this. Removing duplicates in a data set should only be applied if you are very sure there are duplicates in your data set. And when I'm talking about duplicates, it means when you check all the columns of your data set, you can see that all these duplicates are there. That is, the first column is duplicated, about 2 or 3 rows in the first column is duplicated, and it follows through all other rows. Like, let me show us an example of what I mean by the duplicate. So let me go back to our first table here. Let me go back to our first table here. Let me see if I can bring this guy here. Sorry. So, so my racket. So let me just come back to my named ranges here. So now looking at this particular data set, this is a data set, like I said. Now, before you can remove duplicates, it's very, very important to check through your data set first. Be sure that there are duplicates in your data set. Before you move on, be sure there are duplicates in your data set. It is very, very important. For instance, what are duplicates? For instance, if on your distributor ID here, we have distributor with the ID 23345, distributor name is Devin Abbott, the country of distributor is of France, product code, product itself, sales channel. If every one of the information that is in this first row here is repeated in any way, like accurately is repeated, every column, every content of each column are repeated in any way at all, then that means that is a duplicate. That means that cell is a duplicate. But if in any case, right, everything here, everything in this distributor ID is repeated, because we can have a distributor perform a sale multiple times, right? distributors performing the sale multiple times, and also the distributor's name come in, the country name, everything, every one of these columns are repeated here, right? Every one of these columns for Devin Abbott is repeated. The country, France, the product code, and everything. And then you now get to where your quantity sold. Your quantity sold is different. Let's say instead of this 208, we have like 100. This 100, and then let's say your unit price is the same thing, right? Your unit price is the same thing, but your revenue will definitely change. But let's now say every one of these columns are the same for Devin Abbott, but there is a single column that has a different content, cell content, compared to the one that you've seen before. That means that column remains unique. That row remains unique. So which means it is not a duplicate. The duplicate has to do with if everything on your rows, if your rows are perfectly replicated. If they are replicated or duplicated, that means it is a duplicate. Then you can perform your remove duplicate process. But if it is not, please, if everything is not uniformly like repeated, that means it is unique, then you leave it. You cannot perform the duplication on it. But now let's go back to our duplicate function. So let me go back to my material. Now, to remove duplicate values, click on data, the data tools, remove duplicates. But look at this instruction again. I can't overemphasize this. Check before removing duplicates. Before removing duplicate value, it is a good idea to try and filter first to make sure something is actually repeated. If it is not repeated, you just leave it alone. So let's perform remove duplicates on this and see. Now, first of all, like I said, as a very good data analyst, your first responsibility is to check through your data set and see if there is anything that needs study your data set and see what is going on in it. So for me now, I have my distributor ID. You see different distributors ID. I have distributor's name, country, and all those stuff. Now you see that this particular data set seems small. So I can see if some of them are repeated. For instance, if you look at these distributors here, I have, or the best way that I can do it is I can convert this old data set from range to table. I press my Control A. Don't worry, we are still going to talk about how to convert to table. So press Control A and then press my Control T. Excel is asking me, where is your data for your table? I have selected all of my data for my table, that is from cell B12 to cell D33. That is B12 here to D33 here. So I'm going to click on my OK. Now, this has given me access to be able to filter my data, right? It has given me access to filter my data, and then I can check if there are repeated distributors. Is there repeated distributors? Let me see, or let me just see. I can even check through set instead of converting to table. I can just check through. So let me take it back to range the way it was. Yes, I want to convert it back to normal. So now let's see if I actually have duplicates here. So I have Devin Abbott. Let me see if I have Devin Abbott again. I don't. Let me see Aphrodite Brennan. Do I have Aphrodite? No. Geneva Keys. Do I have Geneva Keys again? Yes, I have Geneva Keys. Let me see Zahil Fields. Do I have Zahil Fields again? No. Do I have a Dickon Craig? Dickon Craig, yes, I have Dickon Craig here. And I have another Dickon, which means they are repeated data. They are the repeated information. There are duplicate information in this data set. So I need to standardize them. So what I have to do is just to copy every one of this my data set here. I'll copy everything, Control A, and then I'll paste it to where I want to like remove. I want it to be unduplicated. Then I'll paste it here. No, sorry, I haven't copied. Control C, and then I'll come here and paste. Now, how do I do it? I will just select on everything here, right? Select on my old data, and then I'll come to data, my data tab, and then I'll see remove duplicates here. You see, if you are using the updated version of Excel, if you are using an updated version of Excel, for instance, I'm using 2020, and it is very, very good, and it's very necessary. not important really, but it is necessary for you to have an updated version of every software you are going to be using as a data analyst. Some of them are some of them are costly somehow, but you are the data analyst. You know what you want to do. You cannot go to a farm without necessary tools, and some of these are monetized. For instance, now if you want to install the updated Microsoft Excel now, or any Microsoft Office package that we used to buy disk before in Computer Village and adjust them, but now you have to restore directly on Microsoft platform, the Microsoft website, which we have to pay, which you have to pay. But I think I have a way around that for you. You can reach out to the program coordinator. They will direct you to me, and then I'll know how we can talk about that. So going back, if you are using the latest version of Excel, you come to your data now. Instead of it being written as a text like this, it is just in an icon. So you see the icon here, remove duplicate. So I'll click on my remove duplicates. Now I need you to follow me here. To delete duplicate values, select one or more columns that contain. I believe that every one of these duplicates is repeated for every one of these columns here. That is the three columns that I have on my data set. I have the distributor ID, which means every one of those informations is uniformly replicated or duplicated in every one of these three. Assuming it is just one, I can just, if one column is unique, it doesn't make it is not duplicated anymore. So in most cases, you are going to be leaving everything here checked, right? And then you click on. Now Excel is asking you, does my data set has headers? It doesn't have it. Yes, it has headers already. Distributor ID, distributor name, and country. So I'll leave this here. Then I'll click on OK. Then you will see Excel said, I found 4 duplicate values and remove them. 17 unique values remain. So then I'll click on OK. And then you will see Excel has gotten rid of my duplicates, here. So if you see now, see the number of content that I have here is more than the number of content that I've bought, but these ones are duplicated, right? So this is how to remove duplicates. But again, I'll repeat, make sure you check through your data to make sure it is actually duplicated before you perform your remove duplicate function. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Welcome, hi guys, welcome back to another video. So this is going to be like a wrap-up video for our day 2, and then we'll just do a quick review or a quick recap of everything we've done. In this video, in this lesson, we have talked about data cleansing, making sure our data is well standardized and making sure it is in the right format before we take it for a report or perform any analysis on it. And we have different functions or different ways that we need to apply on our data to make sure it is well standardized. And the first one we talked about is our clean function. And then we say the clean functions helps us remove all non-printable characters from text. It also, the clean function also looks at the value in one cell and then remove the non-printable characters in it. And then we performed an example. For instance, this is what non-printable characters are, all those symbols that doesn't correlate with the original text or original content of the cell. So these are non-printable characters, and then after the clean function has been applied on them, you see that they are now standardized. Also, we talked about the trim function, and just like it sounds, literally trim when you remove spaces. So trim functions remove all the spaces from the text string, and also we perform the trim function on this. You can see this with many spaces here. When you perform trim function, you can see the spaces has been trimmed, and then it is well standardized now. So the next one, we talked about the substitute function, where we substituted old text, new text. Substitute function substitutes new text for old text. So in this example here, we have thought to, we wanted, like when the data entry person was entering the data, they made a mistake. Instead of bubble, they made use of, they wrote turtle here. So we were asked to help them substitute all the double T to bubble, like this, to bubble, double B, and then you can see. And we also talked about whenever you are substituting or whenever you are typing anything that has to do with text in Excel, Power BI, SQL, SQL Server, MySQL, PostgreSQL, anything, any programming language, you have to always put it in inverted comma. That is, you have to put it in quotation marks. So that is what we done. Though in the example that we did, here in our substitute, we substituted our milligram. We substituted it and changed it to gram. Changed it to gram here. So also, we also talked about the value function, where we make sure that we use our value function to convert a text string that represent a number into a number. And then how we did it is just we call on our value function. It aligns every values that is formatted in text before, aligns them in the right alignment on the right hand side of a cell. And also we perform the duplication, that is where we remove duplicates. And I emphasize that before you perform this particular remove duplicate function, you need to be sure that there are actual duplicates on your data set. There are actual duplicates on your data set. So performing some of this function and even more of it, you are on your way to, like, you are about 50% into your data, into your analysis or your job or your task, because cleaning and standardizing our data is very, very important. It is your first function. It is your first step towards achieving a successful and a very standard and a commendable analysis, report, visualization, and dashboard. So thank you very much. I'll see you some other time.